here's something that's happening in the world that I thought you might get a kick out of, Lauren. So historic vote. The deadline to vote by mail is today. It's a historic vote on whether to unionize the Alabama Amazon warehouse. It's in Bessemer, Alabama. Today is the deadline for mail-in ballots as nearly 6,000 Amazon workers in Bessemer, Alabama decide whether to form the company's first union. A yes vote could be a watershed moment. Bernie Sanders traveled out there. His message was, your message to people all over this country is to stand up and fight back. You're going to do it here. We could do this all over the country. So here's what happened. Jeff Bezos, and I think this largely happened over the weekend, he had a little bit of a meltdown and ordered his Twitter people to start a Twitter war. Amazon started a Twitter war because Jeff Bezos was pissed. He's mad. So they started tweeting for him.
Is that the account that was like, we don't have our employees pee-pee in cups?
Yes. It was the Amazon News. They tweeted at Mark Pocat, and they're like, you don't really believe that, do you? That's not, nobody would work for us.
A blue check Amazon account was like, our employees don't pee-pee in cups.
Look at that picture of him. Doesn't it look like he's saying, I will squash all of you like bugs?
He looks like he's encouraging people to pee in cups.
How bad do you have to go? Just a little bit? Just go in the cup. Go in the cup. What can go wrong?
Exactly. He absolutely encourages peeing in cups.
And not unions. He's not a big union guy. He's a pro peeing in cup guy. So check this out. His targets, or his people's targets, were Liz Warren and Bernie Sanders. So they've been tweeting about this, and yeah, they mentioned the so here's what they tweeted at Bernie Sanders. I welcome Bernie Sanders to Birmingham, appreciate his push for a progressive workplace. I often say we are the Bernie Sanders of employers, but that's not quite right because we actually deliver a progressive workplace. I mean, if you mean, yeah, right. If you mean progressively worse and worse,
yeah,
then sure, I'm with you. And also, they debunked all that stuff about the Bernie Sanders campaign and not paying actual living wages. They were paying at least $15 an hour. And then even after the campaign was over, they still paid for people's health care. So
I'm pretty sure Bernie Sanders doesn't encourage his employees to pee in cups either.
No. He's like, if you got to pee, you go to the restroom. And it's a restroom for everyone, not just the 1%.
Exactly. Oh, man. I also as somebody who's done freelance social media management, I also I realize the process of planning and replying and tweeting behind the scenes professionally as a job. And I'm wondering how many people had to sign off on this tweet that you're showing right here.
Well, yeah. And so this is the thing that you reference. Here's they tweeted this at Mark Pocan.
Yeah.
You don't really believe the peeing in bottles thing, do you? If that were true, nobody would work for us. That's their rebuttal. Nobody would work for us. And during this late stage capitalism where society is crumbling and people are working 2 and 3 jobs just to survive, and people are absolutely desperate by a capitalistic machine that has crushed everybody except for the very, very rich. Nobody would work for us if they had to pee in a bottle.
Yeah. I'm when there's record unemployment, I'm sorry, but whenever you take a step back and look at how our society is set up, it's very, very, very clear that all of these corporations that dump all this money into federal politics have a very strong opinion about where we should be headed in society. And the peeing in bottles and not being able to have lunch and being afraid to quit an abusive job situation because you'll lose your health care and food for your family is exactly what they have in mind. So,
isn't it amazing, though, that you just see, I just picture Jeff. He is a real life comic book villain. He just is. And I
Yeah.
just picture him. And again, his targets here are Bernie Sanders, who would be considered just center or center left in most other countries. Liz Warren, who would be considered right wing in pretty much any other country. And again, I have criticisms of all of those people. I have criticisms of Bernie. I have a lot of criticisms of Liz Warren. I have a lot of criticisms of Mark Pocan. But it's like here they're being targeted by this mogul dude. I just picture him. You know how in the Wizard of Oz where the witch just goes, "Fly, my pretties." Like I picture Jeff Bezos like, "Attention, my pretties," and then these like Twitter people just show up and he goes,
"Oh my God.
Several politicians have angered me. Send out the minions." And they just go on the phones and they're just tweeting and they have these wings and they're just flying around and they're like, "We're fine using our marketing powers for evil. How can we appease you, Sir Bezos? No unions."
I'm just imagining like this person that wrote that tweet is like a 19-year-old intern, and he like gave him a call. He's like, "I need you to respond and like tell them that we definitely don't pee in bottles, okay?"
Is it true? Do we not pee in bottles? Of course. Do you think people would work for us? Come on. You're 19 years old with a trust fund. You've seen it all. Do you think people would work for us if we? Of course not. I guess that makes sense. All right. So tweet it. Good job. You're going to get a promotion.
And the person that scheduled the tweet was literally peeing in a bottle as they were like hitting go. They're like, this is true.
It's an emergency. We need the immediate. We need the 24/7 tweeters. Get the bottles out. We cannot phone this in. I mean, you're going to be on a phone tweeting, but we cannot phone this in. Did I lose you? Oh, there you are. Okay.
No, I'm here.
I think you froze for a second, but you're back, which is awesome.
I'm scared.
Do you think there's a slim chance? I mean, I say this half jokingly, because I don't want this to happen, but I'm not entirely convinced it's not. Do you think that it might all end with him just appointing himself emperor, him being Jeff Bezos, and nobody being able to do anything about it? Like he's just the emperor now, and then we all have to like flee to other places.
Yeah, he's
like
actually
emperor.
I'm like 99% sure that he is lobbying to have like little pieces of his future consolidation of power written into every bill. So like if you look into like HR 218999, like in the last section of it, it's like Jeff Bezos is considered emperor should X, Y, and Z happen. So like in every bill, if you just like search Control F Jeff Bezos, you'll see all of his plan. And there's also you'll see in like the latest stimulus package that he is encouraging all of us, instead of using the restroom, to pee in bottles.
Wouldn't that be amazing? And it would only be, the worst things would be in bills that are actually good. Like a bill would come through where it's like, guys, we just legalized cannabis federally. We just passed living wages. Bezos gets all of our firstborn children. Holy shit. Wait, what? That's in there? How did nobody see this part? Oh my, it's in that small print. No one read it. No one reported on it. Holy shit. He's coming to collect. The Amazon drones are on their way right now. They're on their way right now.
He gets all of the plasma from the New York Blood Center so that he can bathe in it.
Yes. While he watches people pee in bottles.
Yeah, and that the pee also gets sent to him because it's how he powers his mansion's electricity. He figured out a way that urine is actually, it's pretty innovative. I'll have to give him that. He figured a way to power electricity with bottles of pee.
Now, if only he would share that technology with the rest of us. I mean, that could
he
really
wouldn't, though.
Right. That could solve a lot of our energy needs. I mean, I'd be willing to up my coffee usage just to help contribute to the cost. I'll contribute as much as I possibly can. I'll even go a step further. I will drink light beer once or twice a week instead of having something of a better quality. I'll drink beer themed water so I can pee more and contribute to the energy needs.
Right? But he wouldn't. That's the whole thing, is like it powers his mansion and also his anti-aging machine. I think that's really like the plasma from the blood center and the bottles of pee are really so that he will actually end up living 500 years, and he would never share that with us.
No, he'll keep it to himself, unfortunately. This also just goes to show you how painfully useless Twitter can be. I mean, it has its useful components as well. We both know this. We all know this. Social media can be a very valuable tool. It can also be one of the most toxic environments. Well, not ever, but electronically, virtually one of the most toxic environments. I think maybe that's fair. And here you have, he sends out his minions because politicians made him mad.
Right?
It's like so ridiculous. How ridiculous. I mean, what does it say about our country where it's like you find yourself being like, I'm actually with Liz Warren on this one. Like, how ridiculous is our country where it's like, wow, he out-villained politicians. He managed that.
I just find like I had a moment of frustration yesterday where I still have like a chat of my friends, and I like wrote in there yesterday, I was like, I think I'm getting to the point in society where like I have glimpses of apathy, which is really scary to me because I actually care a lot. But the absolute villains that corporations are, and pharmaceutical companies and for-profit health insurance, all of them make our politicians out to be heroes when they give us 1 inch. And in fact, all of these corporations, Jeff Bezos included, are operating within legal boundaries that our politicians have given them.
Right.
So whenever I think about like who the real enemy is, like Jeff Bezos is a product of our system. And I really despise that guy, but the real issue is every politician that has allowed him to be exactly who he is.
Well, and they were happy to take money from him and folks like him to do their bidding. I mean,
love it.
It's an entire systemic thing. And that's why something like this is just more or less theater, because at the end of the day, he's not necessarily mad at Mark Pocan, Bernie Sanders, or Liz Warren. I mean, that's the appearance sake thing they're doing on Twitter. But at the end of the day, he's mad at the idea that there might be a union. That's what he's mad about. He's mad that there might be a union because if it happens in Alabama, it's going to spread. It's going to happen elsewhere. And he's not going to be able to get away with a lot of the bullshit he's been getting away with. He'll still be able to get away with a lot, unfortunately. But the people are going to have a little more power. And he's so greedy. He's so greedy. I mean, he could pay fair wages, give good benefits. He could treat his employees better and still be rich beyond comprehension many times over.
Mm-hmm.
Many times over. He wouldn't even notice.
There's no way to spend all that money.
No.
He's not even young. Like, what if you were like a 3-year-old with billions of dollars? I'd be like, I would not understand being that, like, he's hoarding money. And I would not understand that even if he were 3 years old. But to be a middle-aged man with billions and billions of dollars, I'm like, why don't you give your workers a bathroom break?
Well, I think at his level, I mean, something's wrong with you. I think it's like, like he is a sociopath. Like you don't acquire that amount of wealth without screwing a lot of people over. So you have to have some kind of just straight up moral bankruptcy. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not qualified to diagnose the guy, but something's going on. There's
Well,
just
I
no.
also I've been seeing a lot of I see a lot of charts. Actually, TikTok is a really wonderful place that I've been algorithmed to have a lot of inspirational quotes come to me, and I love them. But there was this one guy. I wish I could give him credit right now, but he was talking about what the chart of success versus happiness looks like, and there is a certain level of being able to pay your rent without stressing too much. That's a good area to be in. But going much more beyond that in terms of wealth actually starts to decrease your amount of happiness. And I used to live in a very cutthroat financial sector environment where we were being told all the time that there were pending layoffs coming, and if we wanted to make it, we had to really work and show that we wanted to get a promotion and stay extra and all that stuff. And that's what the life of a financial sector employee is like. I was mid-level at best, and it was a very bad place to be in. And
I thought at first you said I was miserable at best.
I mean, probably yes. Yeah, I was
Mid-level at best
miserable.
and miserable at best.
I was miserable at best, but I could see you get into this groove, and I've been applying to jobs since March of 2020. I've had a very long bout of unemployment, and
I don't know why. Everything's fine.
yeah, everything's great. But I've been doing freelance and contracting gigs, and you know what? I've been able to pay my rent, and even with way less, way less. I am paying my rent and that's about it. But I am happier as a human. And it's this mentality that we have of the hustle and the scarcity, and it's why countries that revolve around socialist ideals have a much higher level of happiness on average, is because it's that worry about everything you could lose if you lose your current situation, rather than that extra happiness you get with another $100,000. We're obsessed with that extra wealth here, as opposed to just making sure that we're all okay.
Well, and when you bring this up, this also gets into another factor that allows Jeff Bezos and the Jeff Bezos of the world. I mean, he's not the only dishonest actor here. I mean, there's Walmart. There are so many absolutely repulsive companies. He's really resetting the bar in many ways. I mean, he's bringing it. I mean, he is a real life Lex Luthor, but there's so many predatory corporations in this country, and there's a lot of factors that allow them to do what they do. A lot of it is just lax policy, where politicians just pass policy that benefits them. And the other thing too, I think, is societally, we have this live to work mentality. So it's really easy to get people in a groove where they just accept less and less. You've had nearly 100 years at this point of anti-union propaganda. They saw what happened when we got a New Deal. They decided we never want to have this happen again. So we're going to go on a crusade against the socialists, against the communists, against the anarchists, and against labor, and against the working class, and against the unions, to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. And, they've really, I mean, we are, as a society, just programmed to accept we're just programmed to accept less and less, and to just live to work, to be well, you have a job, just show up, just do it. And a lot of people, it's they have no choice because they're one paycheck away from going under. So it's just this cycle of misery that continues, and it's gotten worse and worse. Even in our lifetimes, it's gotten progressively worse. And then Gen Xers, I mean, they lived through it. They really saw the transition. I mean, they can tell you this is what it's like when we just got out of college versus what it's like now, and it's freaking brutal.
Yeah. And like millennials, I graduated college in 2010 and then grad school in 2012 and graduated into joblessness. So like I as a millennial, I've never really seen a good economy.
Yeah.
But it's just getting worse.
Right. Well, that's the crazy. I mean, we've never seen, and it goes even Gen X too, pretty much. We've only ever seen Reaganism,
Hmm.
just crushing Reaganism,
Yeah.
and millennials have seen it get a lot worse. Gen X has seen it get catastrophically worse, and the generations after us, well, they can't even imagine when it's anywhere close to good. Like, they
Hmm.
can't even imagine it. They know nothing of, what is this somewhat okay society you speak of. We have no
Right.
idea what that is. And then we pass Orwellian level policy, like right to work. It's like
Yeah.
it's right to be exploited. That's what it should be called. Right to be exploited.
Terrible.
I
Terrible. We're still like the only quote unquote first world country that if you have a baby, you're not even guaranteed time to heal. My best friend just had a baby and she had to get 75 stitches. And I'm just like, you want her to go back to work tomorrow and just bleed
Tomorrow,
everywhere?
like the next day, they wanted her to go back to work.
Well, luckily she's freelance. So,
Oh,
well, I mean, luckily and unluckily because she has no benefits.
right.
But I mean, America, right?
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your